Brought to you by CHM, a biblically based alternative to health insurance. Learn more at chministries.org/budget.
So I have some guilt and pride around using child support money. So I was in an abusive relationship, and by the grace of God, I was able to leave when my son was about 3 weeks old.
Oh my gosh,
I met my now husband when my son was 6 months old, and he's now 12. My husband and I had sat and talked and said, we don't want any money. We don't want anything. We want nothing to do with him. Well, the judge made the decision that it's not our choice and it's not our money. It's for our son. So we were just putting all that money in an account. We had some debt, and in 2021, I lost my job and we needed 4 walls. So we dipped into that account. As of January of 2025, we are officially done with baby step 2. We are completely debt-free.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. It's very exciting. I'm really happy to be there. But I have about $4,000 from that child support money that we said we'd never use. And I'm wondering if I should just pay it back like a debt and just keep going like if we were on baby step 2, or the connotation of the child support money in the first place just kills me, and I don't know what to do about it.
So this guilt, Sarah, I'm just double checking that the facts are correct. You didn't use this money immorally. It was more of a conviction that you personally had with it because of who it came from. And you just, the thought of using it just feels gross, and you had to use it at one point. But from a legal standpoint, you used it exactly how anyone else would use it, right? To help run the household because you're taking care of a child and that other parent is helping with that, correct?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And what was the court order? How much and for how long?
Originally it was until he was 18, and it was supposed to be $430. The only money that I've actually seen from that is the COVID money. I was able to get his COVID check. I didn't know that it was coming. My husband adopted our son when he was 4 years old, everything finalized. So that's when the child support stopped. But there's so much arrears that, I will still randomly get like a $12 check.
Okay, so it's
check.
over essentially. You're not getting future payments. You just have this kind of savings sitting here, and you feel like I don't want to touch this money because it feels weird.
Yeah, how much is in that account?
In the account right now is $2,000, and I used 4 of it.
4 of it. And what are you going to what are you going to do with it eventually? Are you going to give it to him when he's 18? Or help pay for a car when he's 16, or college, or what do you think?
That's what we were thinking, just a car or something like that. Like I said, my husband's been around since my son was 6 months old. So my son doesn't know. He doesn't know any different as of right now. And eventually we're going to tell him. We have to tell him, but we're just not there yet. He's not emotionally mature enough to be there yet.
Sure. Okay. So what I'll speak to, I'll speak to the money side of it, Sarah, from the sense that no, this is not a debt that you need to pay. You use the money essentially how the system works, and you use it exactly appropriately. And I know that doesn't sit well with you because of who it's coming from, and that totally makes sense to me. But I think kind of the quote unquote debt going forward, which is not a debt, but is to say, okay, how can we best set up my son to have a life where he, from a financial standpoint, understands money, doesn't have to walk through this debt-free journey, and we're setting him up in order to do that. And that looks like things like maybe college or helping with his first car, whatever that may look like for you guys. And for me, I wouldn't hold on to that emotional $4,000 anymore, because I think you need to release that. But I think going forward, the motivation now is to pass a great legacy on to your son, right? Regardless of $4,000 or not. So I totally understand how that can feel like, oh my gosh, we use this money and it feels so gross and I hate it because he's a terrible person. But you guys were in a pinch at the time, and that's what that money's for, is to help take care of your son. And that's what you guys did. So I would let go of that, because emotionally, I think it is holding on to you so deeply.
Yeah.
So in the filing cabinet of your brain, we need to refile this. Instead of child support money from an abusive, awful relationship, this is changing my family tree money. to set up my child for a better life than the one I experienced.
Yeah. And Sarah, too, give yourself a little bit of grace. If this was a $60,000 thing or something, and you're like, oh my gosh, he was supposed to use it for a down payment on a house, or you know what I mean? Like I feel like a lot of this magnitude and weight from a dollar standpoint, I feel like we could go at it a different way, because I could see, the more money it is, the more weight it feels, right? So, So with this $4,000, I want you to release it for you, Sarah. Again, it's not about the dollars at that point. To me, it's that emotional attachment that's still there to him. And I want that release from you, So whatever that looks like.
Yeah,
with your own words.
I would have a goal for this money instead of letting it just sit there. It's only going to make, reopen the wound. So I would put it in a 529 plan for college. I would put it toward in a savings account for a car fund one day, because that day is going to come. And these things cost money. And it's part of the deal. And, it's a shared burden, because that person was a parent, and this is what the court ordered. And so it's hard to just say, release the guilt, Sarah, you're doing great. Mm-hmm. But that's the truth of it. Yeah. It's that hard, and it's that simple to just go, all right, it happened. That was the past, and I'm going to make a better future for my kid now. And it sounds like you guys are thriving, and this child is so lucky to have you two.
Yeah, he's definitely blessed. My husband is literally a godsend, and he took him on like his own. And like I said, nobody knows. There's a couple people, like family knows, but he doesn't know. And my husband stepped up in more ways than I could ever even pray for.
Mm.
Well, and give yourself so much credit, Sarah, because we talk to so many people on this show, and women specifically, that are in a situation, and they don't feel like there's a way out. And whether from its financial type abuse, where a husband's withholding and not allowing,
controlling,
to physical, emotional. I mean, you can fill in the gaps. And
the spectrum is wide.
And to break that cycle is so difficult. And as Dr. John Deloney says, who works with so many people in this area, says that it's rare to have someone actually break it. So when you do, it is a
something to be celebrated.
It's an applause. I mean, it really is, Sarah. So I mean, I just commend you for that. I know that was 12 years ago, but that's incredible. Absolutely incredible. Yeah, George, when we think about part of the baby steps and what she said, I loved, because it's baby step, they're past baby step 2. They're moving on for that fully funded emergency fund and so forth. And there is something so freeing from the sense of, yes, the dollars and cents are there, right? We're being wise with our actual tactical money. That's, very important. But it's so much bigger than that. It is like the place where money sits in our lives, the value of which we give it. And when you are out of debt, you have that emergency fund. You don't have to be obsessed with it. You don't have to stress about it, because you're setting yourself up so well. And what that speaks to your kids in a household is everything. Like, to me, that's part of family changing the family tree. It's not just from a monetary standpoint, but from an emotional standpoint, that money doesn't have to be a stress point in our lives, because we have control over it.
Yeah, and there's a lot of belief there. People think there's some sort of like financial DNA that you're born with because of the environment and place and parents. But we're proving it with Sarah that you can break chains. You might be the first one in your family to become debt-free, to create a better life for your kid to go to college debt-free, for you to have a home that you own free and clear, for you to become a millionaire. And it's something you get to choose, and it's a daily choice, and it's one of the hardest patterns to break because of all the shame and guilt from the past, and your belief system is so tied up. And you talk about this in Know Yourself, Know Your Money, the different money classrooms you grew up in. It really shapes you, and you have to really try to break all of the bad stuff to get to the good stuff.
Totally, yeah. Yeah, and as parents, whatever you can do, we always say more is caught than taught, but from, again, that standpoint of money, we're going to get in control of our money, because yes, from a monetary standpoint, we need to know where our money's going. We want to be debt-free. We want to start, investing and letting the math work for us, like all of that. But more importantly, realizing that money's a tool. It is a tool to create a life that you love. Like that's what it is. It is not good. It is not bad. It doesn't have morals. And so how can that lesson and where money is placed in your life and in your heart and your identity, what your kids see, that speaks louder than words. This is The Ramsey Show. CHM isn't health insurance. It's a health cost-sharing ministry. Check it out for yourself at chministries.org/budget.